You're listening to the 40 Fit Radio podcast, dedicated to the 40-plus community. Join us as we discuss the truth about fitness and health using science, reason, and the experiences of our host and content experts. Welcome to the 40 Fit Nation. Hey, welcome to the 40 Fit Radio podcast, and welcome back to the 40 Fit Nation. I'm your host, Coach D, and today we're going to talk about rest. Now, in prior episodes, we've talked about sleep and other types of recovery methods that relate to your fitness or exercise program and just sleep habits in general. You can go back and listen to that podcast and get more information about some helpful sleep tips to employ while you're trying to improve your sleep quality, the deepness of your sleep, which is really where we spend most of our time recovering when not awake. But on the other side of the equation is this concept of general rest. And, for years when I used to own my CrossFit gyms, I would have my members always refer to this concept of, I took an active rest day. Well, generally that meant that they went out and they exercised somewhere else, or they did some other type of physical fitness, and they really didn't rest. But there was this concept too of active rest. And sometimes I think that our members would use that as a badge of courage to say, the subconscious part of that would be, I basically never rest. So there. But I think that sometimes that can be very unhealthy too. So we do need to do nothing but rest sometimes. Now, we know that a body in motion is always a more healthy body, and we've also used the term motion is lotion because human joints, connective tissue, and the human body in general, its circulatory system, pulmonary system, and all of the other organ systems really do like movement. But at the same time, sometimes we just need to take it easy and rest. And I don't know about you guys, but I thought about this more recently when I was on a vacation to Colorado. We were up at our place in Colorado doing some rest, quote unquote. I find myself working most of the time when I go on a vacation, if it's to a place where I either have ownership or there's some type of connection there, and I end up doing a lot of work on the place. And sometimes that can be restful if it's not stressful. And it's just good physical work, and I'm releasing good hormones, and I'm resting my body from the normal rigors of training. And sometimes that can just be another form of work where my stress hormones stay high, and I really don't get the rest or recovery that I need from my day-to-day ritual or my day-to-day habits. And so recently I was on a trip to Colorado with my family, and I found that every day I had an email or a text message to respond to that related to work, that related to our businesses. And I found that, I would go from text message to text message to email to email. I did a couple calls while I was up there too. And what I found was that I really never unplugged from the real world that's outside there. And unfortunately, we get so connected with the world. We get so connected with our jobs because we live in this information age where we have access to information 24/7, pretty much wherever we are in the world. I do find sometimes oddly that when I really want good technology to watch a good movie on our TV, say out at the ranch or in Colorado or somewhere else, technology fails me. But when I get a message from work, it always works. So I can't, there's no rhyme or reason to that. Hey, it is what it is, right? But I find that sometimes I never really truly unplug, and my life is always wired into being easily accessible. And I think one of the traits of successful people is that at some point in their life, and I work on this on a day-to-day basis because of my personality traits, I'm wired to succeed or try to succeed. I'm wired to be a control freak. I have a tendency to always be plugged in. And one of my buddies messaged me yesterday, and we're going to talk about doing some work on our house in Colorado, and he's going to help me do that. And And he said, "Hey, what are you doing today?" It was Memorial Day. And I said, "Well, I'm really just sitting by the pool, relaxing, just kind of taking it easy." He said, "Well, I didn't think you ever did that anymore. You're always hustling." And unfortunately, he's right. It's a true statement. And I kind of begin to think about that and think about, do I really ever rest in a way that's restful? And here's the problem with not truly resting, with always staying plugged into your to social media, to your laptop, to your cell phone, to smartphones, whatever you want to call them. The problem with that is that we always stay in this heightened state of awareness where our stress hormones, cortisol levels, and other stress hormones are at their peak or at a high, and it's very detrimental to your organ systems, to your cardiovascular system, to your pulmonary system, to your brain, and to other parts of your body. Your body needs downtime, and not just sleep downtime, because that is important. But if you don't do the things during your waking hours to set your body ready for sleep, and we talked about those things, how to get ready for sleep in the evening, how to unplug before you go to bed. And I'm the worst at all those things. I mean, I need to listen to the sleep podcast episode again, and then probably listen to this about 10 times after I've recorded it today, because these are areas where I really have a problem in being able to unplug from the world and feel like I can let things go for a while and then go back to it and not feel so stressed and overwhelmed that, I get anxiety about it. My wife and I have talked about this on many occasions about, we've talked about, in my family history, we have some psychiatric problems. You guys are going, go figure. But some challenges. And I find that years ago, I figured it out that I don't make decisions early in the morning, because that's when I have a tendency to be actually at a lower sense of psychological well-being. And so I just don't make decisions anymore early in the morning, because I may feel a little down to start with. And so I manage that through meditation, through personally, I read scripture. I manage it through meditation. I manage it through trying to unplug and start my day correctly so that I have the right mindset for that day's activity, whether it be a day of rest or a day of work or whatever is going on. So, it's absolutely essential for your hormonal health to bring some form of relaxation response into your daily life. Lots of literature has been written about relaxation, meditation, and being mindful about your state. Having a state of self-awareness as to, am I stressed out about what's going on? Or am I relaxing? And have I adequately unplugged? So here are some recommended things that I need to do more of. I would say that I do some of these, but really I need to do more of these things. But here are some what I would call hack tips on how to get better rest. We're not talking about sleep. We're just talking about rest. Our last podcast was about work and about using our bodies physically. And sometimes, like I said earlier, that can be very restful. But we're talking about rest and getting those hormone levels down. Because the whole reason why we're doing this is, number one, we want to increase all the good hormones in your body. We want to release, oxytocin, and we want to release serotonin and enkephalins. And we want to release these good hormones, these relaxing hormones that have a tendency to not only improve our internal health, but also give us a better sense of well-being and a better sense of overall fitness and health, and gear us up for the activities that are coming ahead of us and allow us to make our batteries feel a little recharged on a regular basis. So, number one, and man, I need to do this so badly. I need to do this more often, and that is cave proactively. And that means when you hit the wall of feeling a little overwhelmed, first of all, try to gauge your sense of self-awareness before you hit that wall. But when you do hit that wall, stop everything, unplug, step away from your cell phone, stay off the internet, stay off the news channels, turn off your alarms and notifications, become less readily available. That's one of the problems with our society is that we are always available. And I think successful people, both in their fitness and health and overall lifestyle, develop a method to unplug, cave proactively, and not be forced to cave because of mental health issues or because you get sick because of your immune system gets down, but unplug proactively and step away and basically take some time to be a human being, not a human doing, not a human acting upon things or working, or just take some time to be a human being. It takes downtime for productivity to blossom, for clarity to return, and your mood to kind of smooth out. And so it could be a minute, it could be an hour, or it could be a whole vacation if that's what needed. But when you need it, cave. And that means take the time to truly unplug. I cannot say that more clearly, but I'm really preaching to the choir here. It's something that I really need to do, and that is set my cell phone away, only attend to my cell phone once a day potentially, and don't respond to anything. Let my business partners know I'm not going to respond to anything. If you guys can't make the decision, you just can't make the decision. Or let your children know if you use cell phones to communicate with your children. We have all grown kids at our age, but let them know, mom and dad won't be available unless it's an absolute emergency. And just step away from social media outlets, step away from interaction, and become less readily available. Don't respond when people want to get a hold of you. Send a message out in your email to let people know, hey, I'm not going to be available. I am unplugged for the next 5 days. I am not going to be available. If you send me an email during this time, it will not be responded to. And it's highly likely that I will not respond to it when I return. I have a friend who basically does this. When he unplugs, he notifies people a day in advance that he's going to unplug. And he says, if you send me an email during this unplug period, you will not get a response back from me because I will not be returning any emails when I am gone. And the basic gist of it is, if you send me an email and it was an important email, it can wait until I get back. Because when I get back, I'm going to go to the highlight column and I'm going to highlight all the emails that were sent to me while I was gone, and I'm going to delete them and throw them in the trash bin. And I'm like, that is brilliant, and I love that. And you know what? A lot of people like say, oh, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, what did we do before we had email? Think about it. I can remember before we had cell phones. I can remember when we had rotary dial phones. And I can also remember when we had party lines years ago at our ranch in South Texas. We had 3 different families on the same phone line. So it would ring once for your house, 2 for another house, and 3 times in a row for the other house that was down the road. But those days are gone. And we've gotten so interconnected with technology that we think we can't live without it. And I am the worst at this. I am preaching to the choir. But number 1, cave proactively. Number 2, utilize meditation. Do a quick meditation. Meditation actually has been proven to rebuild the thickness of your brain's cortex, improve your memory and emotional regulation, and renews your willpower. Your drive needs to be renewed, just like your car needs new fuel and your cell phone needs new power. Your body needs to be renewed. And so it also prevents shortening of what we call your telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA sequences, which telomere greater length is associated with improved longevity. So this just takes a minimum amount of time, a couple of minutes of rest. It could be 5 minutes, but take whatever you need to take to do that. It's funny. I got this new iWatch that my in-laws bought me, and the iWatch basically every so often will vibrate on my wrist and give me a message to breathe. And I kind of laugh at that, but it's true. It's been proven that taking deep breathing for a minute every so often throughout your day lowers your cortisol levels, grounds you better. You could use that time to meditate on scripture, on some other type of meditation, poetry, on something else that you remember, something good in your life. Use that time to to relive good memories, to think about your children, to think about a pet, to think about a hobby that you enjoy, but take the time to basically sit or stand comfortably, becoming aware of your feet, that you're well grounded, and you can close your eyes if you want to. Take a few normal breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, and then deep breathing. And on your deep breathing, exhale deeply and inhale deeply through your mouth for a count of 6 while saying to yourself, at peace, or whatever else you want to do. Use that time to meditate and do that for about a minute to 2 minutes. And then afterwards, take an assessment as to how you feel. So quick meditation can be very helpful in this process. Another way to relax would be to practice some type of other meditation method, and it could be a physical meditation method, something like relaxing yoga. Yoga releases deep tensions and sets tissue healing in motion. It's calming in the mind and helps you to be present, and it also helps you work on your breath, and at the same time allows you to be able to get those cortisol levels down while still doing something that is physical in nature. Now, I will be the first to tell you that, man, when I do yoga, it's like a gorilla trying to do yoga. It's terrible, man. It's hard. It's hard for me to be yoga because I'm in some ways kind of muscle bound, and I'm not saying I'm full of muscle, but I am kind of muscle bound and my connective tissue is pretty tight. But when I do yoga, I do find that it's relaxing. Another thing that some people like to do is they like to take a bath or sit in a sauna or sit in a hot tub or something, that's relaxing like that, and just take the time again to meditate and relax. Another thing that people do is get into the practice of a daily ritual, and it might be a 30-minute walk alone with meditation tape on, or listening to a book on audio tape or audio file, whatever, digital files. And doing that ritual on a regular basis, religiously. I find that order and ritual in my life helps to reduce the chaos. So why a lot of guys will ask me, hey, why do you train so hard? Why do you train 3 to 5 days a week? Some of that is because I know I can count on it. It's something that I can do. I know that it also is stressful to my body some, but it's also relaxing to my body. It matters what kind of training it is. But I find that ritual of hitting my training ever so frequently, it's just part of my daily hygiene. It's something that my body needs on a regular basis. Another thing that you can do, that'd be the 6th thing, would be try journaling. Grab a pen and a notebook and write what comes to mind. And just journal. You can have a gratitude journal, or you can have a journal that's got both areas of, it could have your concerns written, and then immediately after your concerns, your gratitude. It could also have some things that you want to change in your life and some ways that you're going to change them. You could have some general concepts, I hate to say action items, but you could have some general concepts on things that you want to improve upon, and maybe write down some suggestions to yourself on how you're going to do that. I also find, going right along with that reading, which we do a lot less of in our society today, but reading can be very powerful in its relaxation method. Just getting into your book. Think about it, 60, 70, 80 years ago, when we didn't have the technology that we had today, the connection with the outside world and experiences across the world or other people, many times, it was through reading, because you could read stories about other lands, you could read autobiographies, you could read fiction novels, you could read all these different books, and you could connect. Plus, also, it improves your memory, it improves your intellect, it improves your content mastery, it improves your overall knowledge base, it improves your ability to listen to others. Reading actually improves your ability to listen to others. So reading can also be put in this area of journaling, and doing it ritually, finding time in your regular day to read a journal. Sometimes I'll read my professional journals, which is work, but it's actually fairly relaxing because I'm learning and I'm taking time to lower those cortisol levels. But reading can also be very effective too. The other thing is, number 7 would be reset after work. Take the time to reset, to prevent your cortisol levels from being jacked up in the evenings. Make it a daily end of work habit to decompress for about 15 minutes with any of the relaxation practices that we've just mentioned. Take the time to kind of gear down and to relax and to take it easy when you first get home. And spouses, hey, don't hit your spouse, your significant other, your loved one, whatever kind of relationship you have. Don't hit your parents, and parents don't hit your kids with the first thing coming home with a solution to a problem or the questioning of a problem or something to fix. And I'll be the first to tell you that I'm the worst about that, to come home and talk about work and really leave work at work, man. I mean, there's enough mental energy and enough physical energy spent on your work at work. So take the time to really relax and to take that short period of time right after work for about 15 minutes to just relax and make it something that you do on a regular basis. And lastly, give yourself one evening a week of completely off from work or chores or anything else, and just, like we said, instead of being a human doing, be more of a human being. Just relax, read. Take that whole evening to read and relax. And I'll tell you, our lives are so busy. We've always got things going on that we have to be mindful of these things. We have to actually volitionally take charge. In years past, people would work out in the fields, they would work in their businesses, and then they would come home and they didn't have TV, they didn't have cell phones, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have laptops. And so really they would either read or they would play games with their family, or they would listen to radio when radio first came out, or when TVs first came out, or they would just do something else. They would find some other hobby. Maybe it's, I can remember my dad and I used to build models together when I was a kid, and they would find some other hobby. They would play board games, they would play chess, they would play checkers, and they would really just take time to relax, okay? And I know all that stuff sounds really old-fashioned, but maybe that's a little of what we need. Maybe we need that detoxing from the digital world, and that's number 7, and that is, like we said earlier, just detox from the digital world. Set some boundaries from yourself. I'll find myself, and I call it power scanning. You just go through images extremely fast. That's interesting. That's not interesting. Not interesting. Not interesting. And you just scan through them. But take the time to detox from that and unplug yourself. I dare you guys, and myself too. I need to take this dare too. Unplug yourself from your digital habit every evening by 9 o'clock. That's the first recommendation. Secondly, one full day each week, unplug yourself from the internet unless it's specifically related to work at work, and be device free after work for at least one full day a week. No cell phone, no email after work, no Facebook, no computer. I'm promising you guys, man, I think it could be a very powerful thing for all of us. And I'm going to take that charge. I'm going to set a day every week where after my work day, and I have some days that I end the workday a little earlier, I'm just going to set my phone aside, set it on its charger, and not respond. I better let Michelle know beforehand and the rest of my extended family, but I'm going to do that. And so I would challenge you guys to do the same thing. Number 9 would be get some fresh air. Get out and enjoy walking. Enjoy your surroundings. Enjoy nature. Try just going out and getting out in the sun, bare feet on the ground, and breathe consciously. And even if it's just for a few minutes every evening or every day, just relax and reduce that tension in your body and be mindful. Clear your mind of all your stress throughout the day. Number 10 would be to play. Do things that you enjoy to do that make you happy. Laughing, playing, if it's a recreational activity. If you like to play golf, but you go out and you get stressed every time you swing a club, that's not very relaxing. But if you like to play golf and you like to go out and relax, and it gets your mind off of work and it gets your mind off your problems for a while, then that's good too. But take the time to relax and play and do the things that make you happy. Lastly, but not least, number 11, have sex, guys. And I know we all don't want to talk about that, but take the time to have relationships with your loved one. It improves your sleep quality, it reduces cortisol overdrive, and it boosts your mood. Good relationships with intimacy can offset daily tensions, improve your immunity, and have been proven to increase your longevity. So that being said, have sex regularly with your loved one. And I know guys and gals, we all have different drives. We all have different needs. But husbands, if you're not loving your wife in a loving manner that promotes her to want to meet your intimacy needs, then you need to work on that. And wives, if you're not loving your husbands or meeting their intimacy needs, then you need to work on that. And I do believe that husband and wife serve in different roles in that. And you may consider that chauvinist or old school or whatever, but we all have our opinions. But I do believe that both partners are responsible for creating an environment to where both partners want to be intimate together. And it's important for your health. It's stress relieving, and it's also got some great physiological rewards that relate to it, and it improves your relationship health, which overall improves everything else. So guys, there's some good 11 tips to resting and relaxation. You'll be able to get access to the show notes online, and we post those show notes at our 40fit radio tab at the 40fit.com website. You can also hook up with us on our Instagram page, which is at 40fit radio. You can find me at DL Deaton. Send us a message, comment, share our podcast as we try to get this out to more and more masters, people over the age of 40. You know, this whole concept of rest is something that I think even this 40 to 60 generation or even the older generation struggles with, because we have grown up in the midst of not having technology and then having all this incredible technology available. And unfortunately, I find some 40, 50, and 60-year-olds that are just as plugged in as their kids are today, if not more so, spend more time on their cell phones and on their laptops and somewhere else. And so they don't really ever rest. So take the time to rest, guys. Your body not only needs sleep and good nutrition and exercise, but it needs a true unplug or a proactive cave, a digital detox, a period of relaxation, and that may mean minutes, hours, days, or even a longer vacation. So guys, thanks for joining the 40fit Radio podcast, and thanks for joining the 40fit Nation, and have a great day, and do what we talked about, take the challenge, and digitally unplug.